more fresh fruits and vegetables. And so in a lot of parts of Manhattan, not everywhere, but we would love to work on this with you if you wish. For $8 every 2 weeks, the farmers deliver to a senior center on a conference table the most beautiful fresh fruits and vegetables you've ever seen. And then the seniors pay a week in advance, and then that next week they get this bag, which we pack, of fresh fruits and vegetables. And in some places in Manhattan, we just deliver it to the block, and there's somebody on the block who holds it until the seniors come pick it up, or we take it to another senior center. And it's going all the way from Harlem and Washington Heights all the way down to the tip of Manhattan. And let me tell you, it is so fantastic. First of all, you get recipes, you get a listing of which farmers are involved, and you get to new fruits and vegetables that even Jackie won't know what they are. So I am here to say if that's something that you want to work on with your wonderful elected officials, we would be glad to. And I can tell you, it's open to home health care aides also, or people who are working in the senior world, because it's not a hard and fast who is a senior, it's people who care and who are part of the community. So if you're interested, we will do that. The second issue that may not be particular to Manhattan, but it is to anybody who's in a wheelchair or who has a walker, who just wants to be able to not trip over a curb cut. So we actually took a look at the curb cuts from the bottom of Manhattan all the way to the inward, to the top. And the bad news is that only 10% are ADA correct. Rest of them have either the bumps are missing, there is no curb cut, it's broken, it's too steep for the ADA, etc. So I've just mentioned that because even though we're here on Roosevelt Island, we also travel. And wherever we go, we have to be safe, and these curb cuts should work. So I want to mention that as a second thing that I'm very focused on, in terms of seniors. Finally, there's the issue of higher education. We do have a senior task force. Anybody who wants to join it, let us know. But one of the issues across the borough that people want to be part of, and guess what's coming to Roosevelt Island, is higher education for free. And there's no reason that a lot of the courses that are being taken by young people couldn't also be taken by seniors. And secondly, the libraries. I love the public library. We've advocated and we've given funding to your wonderful public library, but the libraries are not open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or even necessarily 7 days a week on a regular schedule because of the budget cuts. So we want to have as much library time at public universities or universities in general, and we also want to have academic opportunities and lectures and so on. So I'm just saying that's something that's a little bit off of the beaten path in terms of what we normally advocate for, but as somebody who wants academics and civics and so on to continue in your life, what a great way to do it with classes and libraries. And then the final issue, of course, is just cultural. We all want to have as much free cultural opportunity as possible, not just as seniors, but as families. And finally, there is, we could go on and on about all the challenges. The wonderful public advocate, and I'm sure your state senator and your state assembly member listed some of them, and we're all fighting with them. The borough president, we work on 3 specific or 4 specific issues. Number 1 is land use. And we are focused on trying to stop the big tower. For instance, at the South Street Seaport, I do not want a tall tower at the South Street Seaport in the middle of a historic district. And Manhattan's a different animal. Roosevelt Island is a different animal. We don't need, I believe in affordable housing. I want it to be everywhere, but I don't want a tower, a skyscraper at every inch of every block. And the second issue we work on is just appointments to the community boards and the health and hospital boards and the bid boards. And I know that Board 8 is very involved with Roosevelt Island. And then we also obviously appoint and allocate capital money, which we have to the school and to the library. And finally, I figured out, sitting with my friend in the public advocate, we always introduce legislation. In fact, I think I introduced more legislation than anybody else in the city council. I haven't stopped. I read the charter. It said I could introduce legislation, just like the public advocate. And so I've introduced about 56 bills. And a few of them passed. One of them most recently is a little controversial, but I think it's important, which is that when people apply for a job now in 2015, in the past, you always had to check off if you had a record, if you were convicted of something. And guess what happened? Everybody who had no check off, their resume was reviewed. Everybody who checked it off, their resume went in the other pile. So now you don't have to check it off. When in fact you are offered a job, then you can be asked about your background. Now obviously if you're in law enforcement and other types of those fields, you will not be under this law. But it's a big deal. The city of New York, to the credit of Bloomberg, had such an executive order. So city employees, originally about 11% had a record. A record could be anything. It could be drugs, it could be something that you did when you were young. It went, after the executive order, to 23%. People who had records were hired. There was absolutely no difference in city employment and no problems at all. So that's something that we just passed recently. And of course, I am the author original of the paid sick days, way before de Blasio got involved. Thank you very much. Tish and I passed paid sick days. So I'm here. We have the first storefront office. It's not on Roosevelt Island, but it is on 125th Street. People walk in. We're not in a tall office building. And of course, we're down on 1 Center Street. And we're very, very accessible. You go right over there to Jackie Pope and she can find me anytime. Thank you very much.